वो पल्ले ही नहीं पड़ा।
तू चुप रह तू। बकवास कर यार लगातार बोले यार।
तो मैं चुप ही हूँ तभी से।
मना कर दो।
क्यों लपेटे में ले रहा है?
TJ was hoping to mediate peace. He was hoping that Kimberly and his family could all get along. One big happy family. But unfortunately, those plans have backfired spectacularly. And now the wedding might be getting called off.
तुम उसको एक काम करो, उसका मामला खत्म कर दो, तुम ये शादी मत करो, ऐसा कर लो। तो पकड़ो ये।
बात करना।
So what was the straw that broke the camel's back? Well, before we find out, let's rewind back to the start. Now, it's been a few weeks since we last saw these guys. Last time, Kimberly had just had a fight with TJ's brother Yash. TJ tried to broker a peace, but that went horribly. This has created major ripples in the family dynamic. All this just days before their wedding.
Our wedding is 4 days away. So today we are going to be meeting with a wedding decorator at the venue and moving forward with our plans.
Now, up until this point, Kimberly's been totally out of the loop about her own wedding. So she's really excited to finally go to the venue and have her say. But to get to the venue, they need to drive. And Kimberly volunteers her services.
I decide that it's a great idea for me to drive this car because I need to learn how to drive in India. If I feel like I want to go out somewhere, I need to be able to do that.
And it's hard to argue with her thinking. I mean, she'll need a way to escape the family home. She will need her independence. But there are a couple of problems, not least her driving ability and her understanding of Indian road rules.
There are no rules. Stop signs are suggestions. What do you mean?
We have rules.
No, you can't hit a cow. That's the only rule. I'm not a bad driver. Skirt, skirt. Flank you, buddy.
Now, I'm really struggling to believe that in India you can just hit and run, but maybe that's the rules, I don't know. Perhaps someone from India can leave a comment down below. And although Kimberly and TJ do stop, it's only to switch drivers. TJ gets out of the car to inspect the damage, and honestly, he's taking it like a champ. He seems to find it more funny than anything else.
It has that dent, a scratch. I couldn't say anything because I don't want to argue anymore. And it's okay, that's my small sacrifice. Please accept that.
If only a sacrifice like that could also work for your family, TJ, but we'll get to that shortly. Now, what's noticeable is that TJ and Kimberly are in a better place. They're both laughing, they're having fun. And despite just being involved in an incident, they've both stayed positive. Not a single crossword exchanged. But as they approach the wedding venue, let's not forget how picky Kimberly can be. Are we about to encounter the same reaction from her as when she first saw her apartment?
So ये वो जगह है. The stage was similar to this.
It's a lovely venue. I mean, the place looks like a palace. It's huge, it's lavish. But what also becomes apparent is just how little the day will be about Kimberly. We know that Kimberly's dad will be coming over from America, and maybe her stepmom too. But the rest of that big venue is going to be filled with TJ's friends and family. That's a lot of people. For as nervous as that makes Kimberly, there is one positive here, and that is the fact that unexpectedly, Kimberly is actually really happy with the decor. Who saw that coming? Definitely not me.
It seemed like the decorator knew exactly what I wanted and he could do it. This is actually it. I have a good feeling about this place.
What? Where's the real Kim and what have you done with her? It's nice to know that she can actually be happy, she can be amenable to things. And I say that not to be rude, but because we haven't really seen that side of her yet. But TJ knows her better than we do, and despite her being excited about what she's hearing, he still has his reservations.
Because she was not that much involved in the wedding planning, I'm worried during the wedding day she might find something she may get upset about.
TJ's worried that it's very possible that a tiny little thing can trigger and set Kim off on the day. He's worried that she might create a scene in front of everyone. When we join them the next day, once again, TJ is going to attempt to mediate a peace. He wants Kimberly and his brother to make amends, but we soon discover that it's not just his brother anymore. Yash has been whispering in his parents' ears, giving his one-sided version of events and turning the family not just against Kimberly, but also against TJ.
Our wedding is coming in 3 days, so I want to settle misunderstanding between Yash and Kimberly. Yash is making my parents believe that I'm taking the Kimberly's side.
Now, despite the fact that TJ keeps calling this a misunderstanding, the truth is, Yash and Kimberly's fight wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a clash of cultures. It was a difference of beliefs. And unfortunately for TJ, that is going to be much, much harder to mend than a simple misunderstanding. This whole dynamic has left Kimberly very uneasy.
I still feel like there's a lot of tension with this family, and I'm feeling super uncomfortable. Ooh, the hostility in my voice.
Regardless of how Kim's acted in the past, I really feel bad for her in this situation. She's in a foreign country, all alone, completely outnumbered, and forced to live with a family that she feels don't like her. That can't be a good feeling. And as she comes downstairs, things get off to a terrible start. She greets the family only to be completely ignored.
Namaste.
उसको पता नहीं है क्या कि अपने सबके सामने
ठीक है भाई
तो तरीका है हर
रुक
चीज
तो
का
जाओ एक मिनट बैठने तो दो.
Before TJ has even had the chance to sit down, his mum is picking on Kimberly for her choice of clothing. She finds her exposed knees from her jeans inappropriate. And while maybe in conservative Indian culture it might be, TJ, her husband-to-be, has no problem with it. In fact, he even points out she's worn those same jeans before and no one said a thing. So what's the problem now? And more to the point, if no one's told her, how is Kim supposed to know?
बहू का एक थोड़ा सा होता थोड़ा शालीनता फुल पहन जाओ तो पूरा पूरा गायब ही है कपड़ा पहना खाए के लिए पापा बैठे हैं.
I'm sorry, I feel like TJ's mum is grasping at straws here. What the heck does exposed knees have to do with his dad sitting there? Kimberly's a lot of things, but I don't think she's dressing wildly here. She's certainly not some kind of provocative temptress that's going to steal the father-in-law. And TJ can see just how flawed his mum's argument is.
बस ठीक है तरीका सीखो थोड़ा तमीज सीख लो.
ऐसा तो नहीं कि पहली बार पहन के आ रही हो ये.
तो तेरी जिम्मेदारी है समझाने की.
Now, while Kimberly might not understand the language, it appears as though she gets what's going on. As TJ's mum is sat there yelling, she picks up a blanket and covers her knees. TJ's mum is right about one thing. It is TJ's responsibility to teach Kimberly about his customs. But we know that he hasn't been honest with her about his family's expectations. And that is part of the reason for all of this distress.
गया था ये वहां पे भी इतने बदतमीज के तुम्हारी हिम्मत कैसे हुई हमको तो डोंट टच मी मारने आ रहे थे. अरे तुम इल्जाम लगा लोगे तो हम तो कहीं के ना रहेंगे जेल जाएंगे सीधे.
And I think we've finally arrived at the heart of the issue here. Yash and his mum have taken a lot of offence to the fact that Kimberly told Yash not to touch her during their argument. That appears to be the main source of their frustration.
You make him king, then he will make you prince.
He's already a king, and I don't want to be a prince. I never want to be a boy, and please don't touch me. I know she's talking about me. So I can only imagine what he's told his parents about what happened between us.
Perhaps this is a misunderstanding after all. It was blatantly a friendly, peacemaking gesture from Yash. But equally, it was obviously just Kimberly setting boundaries in the heat of the moment. But it seems like what seemed to aggravate Yash was being made out to be a creep. And it's clear TJ's mum is also very unhappy with this. Look at the way Yash is just sitting there as his mum pops off.
इतना प्यार दिया, यही कहा हमारी बेटी जैसी यार। बेटी का मतलब ये कि बिल्कुल इज्जत उतार दोगे कुछ भी बोल बोल के। और इतना बड़ा फंक्शन है, शादी कोई मजाक है क्या?
Yeah, it's very clear that TJ's mum has totally changed her tune about Kimberly. When we first met her, she seemed accepting of the fact that TJ wanted to marry an American. But now she's upset and she feels insulted and angry at not just Kimberly, but also TJ. But the thing is, TJ doesn't seem to understand why she's so angry, which makes me question whether it's really Kimberly that's getting in between him and his family. Was this friction already there within the family unit before Kimberly's arrival?
वो पल्ले नहीं पड़ा है।
तू चुप रह तू। बकवास कर यार लगातार बोले यार।
तो मैं चुप ही हूँ तभी से।
इसको क्यों लपेटे में ले रहा है?
Look, TJ snapping at his younger brother is typical older brother, younger brother stuff, right? But I'm getting the impression here that TJ's a lot less conservative than the rest of his family. So these fights might have less to do with Kimberly than we actually thought. This is more about TJ. This is about the fact that he fell in love with an American woman. He's willing to compromise for her, but his family aren't. They want to maintain their conservative values. And that seems to be what's creating this divide.
Better to go.
तू मत बोल।
इससे बेटर निकल जावे ना यहाँ से।
Now, Kimberly's been sat there throughout this entire argument completely silent. But enough is enough. She's not just going to sit there any longer. So she gets up and walks out. She hasn't been disrespectful. She hasn't picked a fight with anyone. She's maintained her composure. So Yash's call out here is incredibly uncalled for. And both he and his mum are coming across as bullies here.
The one thing I wanted was not to be stuck in the middle of people yelling at me or about me in a foreign language that I don't understand.
This is an incredibly isolating experience for Kimberly. This is what she was worried about before moving to India. This is precisely why she was worried about living with TJ's family. And watching this all unfold just reinforces that maybe this was a big mistake. If TJ and Kimberly really want to give their relationship, their marriage, the best possible chance of success, then perhaps TJ should continue down the road he started, break from tradition and his family's conservative values, and get his own place.
I'm worried about TJ. I feel bad because I feel like this is all my fault. But I won't live in this environment. I grew up in a toxic household. I'm not doing it again.
TJ is in an awful position here because he's literally going to have to choose between Kimberly and his family. But given the way that his family have treated her today, is it fair of him to expect her to continue to live there? She didn't deserve to be spoken to or spoken about in that way, whether or not she could understand it. And the truth is, her relationship with TJ's family, in particular with Yash, at this point seems beyond repair.
आफत हो गई है।
I am not in favor of this marriage. Kim does not want to live in our family. She's just like her happiness only.
Kimberly's picky and demanding, right? She can be rude and horrible in a fight. But Yash can't say that she only chooses her own happiness. It's just not true. I mean, she moved to India for TJ. She's living in his family home for him. The Indian wedding, I mean, that's for them. She's not doing it for her own satisfaction. These are all sacrifices that she's made in order to be with TJ. Yet no one from TJ's family, aside from TJ himself, seem to acknowledge this.
कोई एक काम करो, उसका मामला खत्म कर दो, तुम ये शादी मत करो, ऐसा कर लो। तो पकड़ो ये।
बात करना बंद करो।
Now, I don't really think that TJ's calling off the wedding here. What I actually think is that this is his way of sending a warning to his family. But the real question here is, for all of his anger, if it actually came down to it, if he really had to choose between Kimberly and his family, would he really be able to turn his back on them? I'm still not sure.